Hello, internet friends. My name is Bay. Welcome to the Battle for Azeroth Holy Paladin first pass video summary, wrap-up, recap, and to be quite honest with you, we have to do these in order, which are voted on, right? We're doing them in blocks of the class, and some of these might not have a ton of sweeping crazy changes, as we also know that the devs have said we're not getting tons of crazy changes for every single spec in the game. However, that being said, that is not the baseline of this video for Holy Paladin. There aren't a lot of changes. I'll just say that. The biggest change is the overarching loss, or the giving away, the using up of the Silver Hand. And that comes into play in a few different ways. So we'll have to see how this goes in the future. Keep your eyes locked onto MMO Champion for the new build updates, of course Wowhead as well, to see if Holy Paladin does get some very fine-tuned or tweaked or changed bits and pieces, because the overall discussion we had on the stream today of about 2 hours was that the change from no Silver Hand to how battle looks, right, getting that out of there, is the most problematic is the best word we can really come up with it right now, because you lost all these hooks and bonuses and little things and that and the other thing that healers overall, if they don't get changed a lot, at least in like Talent-y revamp stuff, or if they're Azerite gear, which the first incarnation of Azerite gear is available to look at, a lot of it is just passives. It's like a proc for haste and mastery, or a proc to do this, or they're all kind of tiny little tweaks, or they're just passives. X and Y does more of Z, which we talked about before. Those are a thing. That's not going to change how your gameplay is, right? That's not going to impact your gameplay like a legendary or a set bonus would, or of course just the Silver Hand in general. So that's the biggest one I wanted to bring up. There are a couple of notes that I want to go over. Of course, the start here that we did find out. Of course, you can check out the entire testing VOD here on the channel or over on Twitch. Additionally, if you want to check out any of the past coverage, then do that here on the channel. So you can subscribe to the YouTube channel right here, or go check out the Twitch channel for the updates on there. Check out the channel guide for the ones that I have done so far and all the archiving process that goes on there. We have done Retribution Paladin as of currently recording this video, and then Prot Paladin is next. But yeah, so the Silver Hand obviously removed. All the traits are gone with it. Many of the small dots that were connected are also gone too. We looked across everything, and none of the stuff from the Silver Hand has been made baseline yet at all. So hopefully in the future we'll see. And we put some feedback in my notes section about some suggestion points or some really integral parts that hopefully might come in the future build. But one thing we noticed that we were trying to find things that were minutiae changes. So your Infusion of Light passive, which remains the same overall in the entire build, right? So your Holy Shock bonus with Infusion of Light. There have been some tweaks to mana costs, and obviously coefficients have changed. The one weird thing that I thought to point out that they're currently working on right now is that, so Flash of Light is obviously your fast, costly heal. And I always thought, as I'm not really a healer main, that the heal value was the same, but Flash of Light heals for more than a Holy Light. And they reduced the mana cost, so Holy Light right now in the alpha is 12% base mana, and the overall healing amount unchanged, other than like the coefficient, right? And Flash of Light's base mana cost on Legion Live right now is 18% base mana. They reduced it to 16. So it's a 2% downgrade in that. And that just comes back to how we don't know how healers are going to be looked at and balanced and tweaked in battle. Because so far, looking at Holy Paladin as the first example of healers, they're very baselined, which may or may not be incredibly boring or not, depending on if you're a healer. But Flash of Light heals for 112.5% spell power, whereas Holy Light is 106.25. So you can see on the tooltip right here the slight difference in healing. And of course, numbers being small and what they are, if you want to look at big numbers, just add like 4 zeros on the end. That's what you look at in Legion right now. But that's the one thing we found for coefficient changes and some some rebalancing of how mana and HPM, heal per mana, might be changing, or how they're starting to lay the groundwork for that rebalancing of those spells across the healers overall. But everything else is the same. So Righteousness is still here. You still have the same mastery. We checked out that the 10-yard sort of Circle of Forgiveness is the same. We checked out that Light of Dawn is still awkward and still does the same, like draws the circle around you and then does the cone in front kind of a deal. It's all the same. Light of the Martyr behind the scenes has a different way of doing damage to the Paladin, which may, in the long run, not do anything, but the math behind it in the database has changed to not just be half of the heal amount, but a portion of the heal amount and then a portion of your spell power. So I don't know if that'll fluctuate or go up and down to make Light of the Martyr okay, but it's the last thing in your priority list for healing as a Holy Paladin, right? So it doesn't really have a lot of impact unless you're moving. And then if you're moving and you have Holy Shock up, you're Holy Shocking, right? So we'll see. If you didn't watch the Retribution Paladin video, Blessing of Freedom had a slight update where it includes forced movement impairing effects for 8 seconds in the immunity frame, which means that you can't get pushed or pulled, which is a nice little update. And the other big thing I was talking about, as I'll stand up here on my holy cow, is you're going to see something right off the bat that you haven't seen in a very long time. A, Bulwark of Azeroth, I know, great shield. B, sorry that the rest of the transmog is kind of derpy. There's not a whole lot of options on the alpha right now. Also, C, there's a graphical glitch in the alpha right now, so if you see some spell effects just stop working, that's fine. Just ignore it. The Holy Paladin is going back to Sword and Board. I'm not going to do any spoilers in this video other than what you can see here, but I looked through the Dungeon Journal on live stream today behind my overlay to see if there were any intellect two-handers. There are none. So that might still be a thing that they're working towards, but if they all of a sudden change the fundamentals of how a Holy Paladin not only plays and does damage with the two-hander and heals, you've lost the ability to transmog your weapon, which obviously can't be true. So how are you going to transmog to the Silver Hand without using a two-hander? Do you just transmog over a one-hander? So we think that part of the game is just not there yet, because Mistweavers, if out there you play a lot of healers and you're a Mistweaver monk as well, that's also a concern for you, because are you back to only using staffs? Or are you one-hand, offhand again? We don't know. I don't know. There has been a lot of talk on the stream today about that. But you can see here, this is your new Holy Light, as I stutter over my words. This is your new Holy Light animation. It is broken in the current build still for the male Tauren. He doesn't hold the book properly. Also, again, there's the graphical glitching out. But the book obviously should be laying flat in your hand. There are examples of it out there that are showing it with the correct, like, vertices, and it looks like it's in your hand. Also, I was told that cow don't read showing off pictures is how he's holding the book. But I don't, I'm not going to race shame or anything like that. But that's the same. Everything else baseline is the same. The interactions with how Beacon of Light works are the same. You still have the same passive. You still have Righteousness, which gives you the extra HP for Light of the Martyr use. And, of course, Blessing of Sacrifice use. That's all there. That's all working out the same way. The only significant sudden, and I say this prefacing almost a bit of a joke, the real big change is Divine Steed overall was changed to a 1-minute recharge, which added 15 seconds to the overall recharges for all the paladins. So from 45 seconds to 1 minute. That's a significant nerf in your mobility when you were already not very mobile in the first place. So we'll see how that plays down the road. But Aura of Mercy was nerfed, which I don't know if that's a jab at Overwatch, but currently on live, the Aura of Mercy that turns you into a walking healing stream totem ticks every 1 second. Now it ticks every 2. But that's also just a balancing out of healing power because of the squish and the way they're going to be changing damage plateaus, incoming, outgoing, etc. in Battle for Azeroth. And that also brings up this midpoint that I wanted to note on here, is that the biggest note we can take away from Holy Paladins in the gut of this discussion is that all the traits and legendaries leaving us, outside of the fact that we are going to get new BFA legendaries in the future. How they will affect us, we don't know. And again, I said earlier that there is some Azeroth gear that is out there. You can look at the bonuses and perks and whatever, but they're all kind of The Aura of Sacrifice healing holy bombs, the holy healing bombs that you can do with the Holy Paladin right now, they're all being incredibly reduced across the board. It may, of course, just be scaled down because of how it's going to change again, which I just said. But no Legendary Ring, no Light of Dawn trait, no Aura Mastery trait, etc. All these multiplicative benefits that you are used to stacking inside this huge window of time that your Holy Paladins can do some crazy healing with Aura of Sacrifice, it's all leaving. So how that will change, we'll see. But everything else, all your other talents are the same. The Judgment of Light coefficient is heavily nerfed right now. It is drastically tuned down. It's laughable how the coefficients we're looking at from Legion to BFA, there's like a ratio, right, with the squish. But Judgment of Light got crushed to like 5% of your spell power, which, as you can see right there, it heals for 62, and I have 18,000 HP. That is quite literally nothing. Obviously, the amount that you get healed for right now in Legion is also very small too, but that's going back again to the whole tuning numbers that all the healers are probably going under right now. But I'm not really have to show off anything crazy here because everything is the exact same as on live. There was a dev recently that was quoted in one of the Discords from World of Warcraft on the dev team that the farthest left column of talents are being structured and organized in a way to be the easiest and always passive talents, which isn't always true because Beacon of Faith is quite literally another spell. But that's why I have all these selected to bring up this point that only the leftmost column has that apparently affix internally, that if you've seen that across any other classes and specs you've looked at so far, that is why, in a confirmed way, that style of talents is all the way on the left now. And if that changes, we don't know. But I don't really know if there's so much else to talk about with Holy Paladin. You have a new animation here, and that's why I think they're just not really there yet with how healers are working out overall. But you're stacking with Sanctified Wrath. Holy Avenger is still definitely there. Light's Hammer on the database is broken. I thought there was a different duration, but Light's Hammer duration is the same. We were talking about how, and we put in suggestions that Holy Prism needs to be buffed and probably compete with Light's Hammer again as it used to. I was told that was a better time for Holy Paladin. We also had a possible little think tank that why is Crusaders Might not baseline, because it feels like it's an incredibly integral part of how the Holy Paladin would heal when you have that sort of as a baseline talent. And when we were then going like, okay, well, you know, how does that work when you play the rotation with or without it? When we walked over the target dummy, and again, we're the whole one-hand, you know, sword and board combo here, your Crusader Strike animation still uses the two-handed animation. So a little bit of a sore spot there that you don't have a two-hander to test with. And as I said before, there are no two-handed into weapons in the game that we currently can find. It's weird that your animation is still the two-handed one for when you DPS. Your judgment window is still the same. As a Holy Paladin, you still deal that increased damage inside the judgment window when you're doing DPS. And DPS numbers and ratios aside, because that doesn't matter too much, it obviously is also a overall DPS loss for the Holy Paladin, which could be an intentional thing because Holy Paladins are incredibly bursty as a healer. So combining Sanctified Wrath, Holy Avenger in a very DPS-focused Holy Paladin build may not be an intended thing and was a side sort of consequence that happened in Legion. I am with you that I think that's totally fine. Holy Paladins can use their DPS tools to be like a pseudo Retribution Paladin for a short time, but it sacrifices their overall healing and throughput because they're doing damage instead. But when the situation calls for it, it makes sense. I think, anyway. Even lore-wise, I think it makes sense. And apparently, casting Bubble crashes the game. Oh my goodness, I just crashed my game. That's the first time I've crashed my game in a recording session before. That's funny. I like that. So we found that out, but oh, we got the music kicking back up in here too. That's awkward. That's totally okay. We'll just log back in. That's not a big deal. I had one more note that I wanted to look at here. Why it crashed is... Oh, never mind. I went over that already. The Silverhand transmogs and how the heck they all work. Oh, in the alpha right now, there's a new feedback button that you can do in-game that I've been utilizing a little bit on the streams, but... Excuse me. Let me know in the comments down below sort of what you, if you're a Holy Paladin, what you're hoping for or looking for. And I'll check the comments for like a day or two after the video goes live and sort of gather more feedback overall. And I will include that in my suggestions if they're like good, chunky suggestions. I can copy them and pasta that and put that in my Google document and my copy and pasta I sent to the devs. Where is the weak spots? Now that you've seen the fact that you just lost Silverhand and then nothing else has changed right now. The strongest point that I was told is that your beacon tier, so Virtue, Lightbringer, and Faith, are the best part about Holy Paladin right now. That these shore up so many weaknesses and secure strengths of the Holy Paladin's raid or dungeon life right now. But outside of that, like Fervent Martyr has been a dead talent forever, even if it was updated in Legion. Holy Prison is too weak, right? Aura of Mercy is just really meh. So it may nerf Blinding Light so it doesn't do damage. Those kind of little things. So let me know in the comments down below on this video what you think should change. But I wish I could show you off more, but there's nothing really changed right now. So hopefully when the Azerite gear / second pass comes around for Holy Paladin, we'll see some changes. But we need, of course, to get a baseline for what the spec is now, and then we'll see what changes in the future. But again, comments down below, and I'll check the comments to see how good the suggestions are. If you wanted to see the whole 2 hours or so of the testing video where we dive through spell coefficients and modifiers and whatever else, then you can go check that out here as well on the stream, on the channel, or on the live stream over at Twitch. Thank you very much for watching and listening to this update on where the Holy Paladin is. And I will see you all in the next Legion, not Legion. I said that last video too. In the next Leaving Legion into Battle for Azeroth alpha testing first pass for Prot Paladins up next. And then we'll see where that goes.